Morning mist clings to the stone walls of Landsberg Prison. The air is cold, brittle, carrying the faint metallic tang of iron and damp mortar. Shadows stretch long across the courtyard, where two gallows rise like skeletal sentinels. A distant door slams, echoing like a gunshot. Boots scrape against stone as 7 figures are led from shadowed cells, faces downcast, their hands bound. Silence presses, broken only by whispered orders and the rattle of chains. The condemned move in rigid rhythm, each step measured, deliberate. Their eyes flicker briefly, scanning the courtyard, perhaps searching for mercy, perhaps for nothing at all. The gallows loom closer, wooden beams darkened with age, ropes dangling like waiting serpents. A guard coughs, the sound cracks through the tension, startling in the stillness. Names matter here, though they are already fading from memory. Paul Blobel, Otto Ohlendorf, Oswald Pohl, Vera Braun, Erich N.N., Hans Schmidt, George Shalomar. Each carries histories etched in blood, orchestrators of massacres, commanders of death squads, overseers of gas vans and mass shootings. Their crimes weigh heavier than the ropes that will soon hold them. A lever sits at the edge of the trapdoor, polished by practice and inevitability. A single photograph awaits, a witness frozen in time. The courtyard seems to hold its breath, the mist curling as if hesitant to witness what will follow. Somewhere in the distance, a clock ticks, indifferent to history or horror. A final step toward the gallows, a shallow breath, the world outside unaware. And then, nothing more is needed. The moment teeters, waiting for the first life to fall. The courtyard stretches under a pale, shifting sky. Guards flank the condemned, rifles resting against shoulders, fingers tight around cold metal. Keys jingle, unlocking cell doors that smell of sweat, mildew, and despair. Footsteps echo, uneven, breaking against the hollow stone. Orders hiss through teeth. Move forward, stay in line, do not falter. The prisoners obey, faces tight with tension, eyes tracing the lines of the gallows ahead. Paul Blobel's boots strike the ground, a measured rhythm that betrays no emotion, though his mind carries the weight of thousands of deaths. Otto Ohlendorf walks beside him, posture rigid, jaw set, recalling a massacre of 14,000 souls compressed into a single day. Behind them, Oswald Pohl's eyes flicker toward the distant shadows of administration offices, where ledgers once recorded lives as numbers, as property, as fuel for death machines. Vera Braun, Erich N.N., Hans Schmidt, George Shalomar follow in sequence, each step a prelude to an irreversible act. The wind stirs, rustling ropes against wood, lifting the mist in curling, ghostly fingers. A coffin is rolled aside for practice, echoing hollow across the stones. The air carries a faint memory of gunpowder, of screams buried in archives, of streets entered by the tides of Einsatzgruppen terror. History presses forward through motion. The condemned ascend narrow steps, guards whispering final checks, ropes coiled in readiness. Nothing is explained. Everything is revealed in cadence, in sound, in the weight of boots against stone. Orders snap, and time contracts, a heartbeat between anticipation and inevitability. The courtyard seems alive with unspoken tension. Every movement, every breath, is a signal. The world waits. Only the gallows know when the first life will fall. The condemned pause at the base of the gallows, a line of men frozen between the world they knew and the end awaiting them. The wind carries the faint creak of ropes swaying, brushing against wooden beams like whispers from the past. Paul Blobel glances upward, sees the lever at the trapdoor, polished and silent. Memories press. Babi massacre, tens of thousands lined in ditches, rifles raised, the smell of smoke and wet earth. He swallows, posture stiff, yet nothing betrays the weight of lives taken. Otto Ohlendorf steps forward next, boots scraping the platform. His mind flickers across frozen images of 14,000 shot in a single day, faces turned skyward, mouths open in silent screams. Vera Braun's fingers tighten against the rope binding her wrists, recalling orders whispered in the cold forests, executions carried out with methodical cruelty. Every step toward the trapdoor is a heartbeat stretched thin, anticipation cutting through the mist. Behind them, Oswald Pohl scans the courtyard, recalling ledgers, budgets, and administrative papers that funded gas chambers, that turned humans into numbers. Erich N.N.'s breath catches as the trapdoor's shadow stretches beneath him. He thinks of Smolensk, 17,000 lives extinguished, and the gas vans he oversaw, rolling death along empty roads. The priest murmurs a blessing, the condemned nod, heads bowed. The doctor checks a rope, adjusts a coil. A final photograph is taken, flash muted by the gray morning. The air tastes of iron, cold, and inevitability. Every step, every sound, every heartbeat becomes unbearable. The courtyard tightens around them, the gallows looming closer. One lever, one fall, one confirmation, history poised to strike. And then the first man ascends, suspended between past atrocities and the irreversible present, the world holding its breath. The courtyard vibrates with tension, every small sound amplified, the rope's rough fibers, the scrape of boots, the faint click of shackles. One by one, the condemned mount the gallows, each step measured, deliberate, yet the air grows heavier with every ascent. The mist thickens, curling around wooden beams like smoke from a distant battlefield. Shadows shift, stretching over the cold stone. Paul Blobel is first. The rope coils around his neck, the lever poised. His eyes flick to the horizon, as if seeking the faces of the thousands he commanded to die. Otto Ohlendorf follows, trembling imperceptibly as memories of mass executions cascade through him. 14,000 shot in a day, forests turned into graves, bodies stacked like cordwood. Each movement is mirrored by history pressing in. The courtyard is now a theater of inevitable reckoning. Oswald Pohl climbs next, the echo of his boots against the scaffold a rhythm of judgment. He remembers ledgers of death, the cold precision of concentration camp administration, and the machinery that transformed life into currency. Vera Brown's hands are taut with tension, recalling orders whispered in winter forests, soldiers executing mass murders under her command. Eric Nn's eyes dart briefly to the empty horizon, thinking of gas bans, of 17,000 lives reduced to numbers, of the indifference of bureaucracy made lethal. Time fractures. Each moment stretches, contracts, rattling against nerves. The priest's voice trembles over the blessing. The doctor nods silently, the trapdoor ready. The courtyard itself seems alive, pressing closer with anticipation, the mist heavy with iron and cold. 7 men. 7 histories of horror. 7 moments where memory, justice, and inevitability collide. And yet, the courtyard holds its breath, because nothing has yet fallen. The first rope waits, and with it, the weight of history poised to strike. The first lever drops. A taut rope snaps with a whisper and a thud that seems to echo in every corner of the courtyard. Silence follows, heavy and unbearable, broken only by the faint sigh of wind through the prison walls. Paul Blobel's fall leaves the platform empty, yet the air vibrates with the enormity of what has begun. Otto Ohlendorf ascends, his steps careful but unsteady, as shadows creep across the scaffold. He carries the weight of 14,000 lives, each memory pressing against him like stones in his chest. The rope coils, the trapdoor releases, and a life is extinguished with mechanical precision. Behind him, Oswald Pohl climbs, recalling ledgers, budgets, and orders that funded gas chambers. The mist swirls, mixing with the distant memory of smoke rising from forests, from towns emptied of humanity. Vera Brown's hands tighten at the ropes, Eric Nn's eyes flick to the horizon, seeing not the sky but the ghosts of 17,000 he once commanded to die. Time fractures further. Sound is amplified, the ropes rasp, boots echoing, chains clattering against the scaffold. The courtyard itself feels alive, haunted by the ghosts of Einsatzgruppen massacres, gas vans rolling silently through empty streets, mass graves hidden beneath soil that remembers. The priest murmurs, voice quivering. The doctor checks the ropes, every movement deliberate, clinical. A photograph is taken of each condemned, capturing the final proof of human reckoning. History is raw, unrelenting, and present. Each lever pulled is more than punishment. It is confrontation, exposure, a reckoning that stretches beyond these walls. And still, the world outside moves, unaware. The courtyard absorbs each death, each memory, each echo of atrocity, leaving only mist, shadows, and the suffocating weight of what humanity has witnessed and cannot forget. The courtyard is heavy with silence. 7 lives have passed through the gallows, yet tension refuses to dissipate. Mist clings to the stone like a shroud. Rain begins, light at first, then heavier, tapping against wood and metal, drumming against the walls. The air smells of iron, wet earth, and the faint residue of death. Guards shift, rifles tight, boots slipping on wet stone. Outside, protesters' shouts rise and fade, carried away by the wind, meaningless to the men now suspended in judgment. Each step, each measured movement, carries the memory of atrocities. Babi, Smolensk, gas vans rolling silently on empty roads. Every face, every scream, every ledger of death presses forward, a ghostly weight on the courtyard. The final executions are clinical yet surreal. Hands are bound, ropes secured, trapdoors released. The priest whispers, voice cracking under the strain of witnessing history exact its toll. The doctor confirms death, movement by movement, man by man. Each fallen figure leaves echoes that cling to the stones, seeping into mist, searing into memory. For a moment, time halts. Rain pelts harder, soaking uniforms and robes, masking the faint metallic tang of the ropes. Shadows stretch long, distorted by torchlight and gray skies. Morality, justice, vengeance, and history collide in the cold morning air. And then, in the quiet, a single unexpected sound, a misstep, a slip, a shudder of the platform, reminds everyone present that even in order, chaos persists. The courtyard exhales, and the world begins to turn again, but the weight of the day lingers. 7 lives, 7 verdicts, 7 confrontations with history. Nothing will be the same, and nothing outside these walls will ever know the full measure of what has passed. The courtyard lies empty now. Mist drifts across wet stone, curling over the abandoned gallows like smoke from distant battlefields. The ropes hang slack, swinging gently in the rain. 7 coffins wait, lined in sequence, silent witnesses to the final reckoning. No cheers, no cries, only the quiet weight of history pressing against every wall, every shadow. Outside, the world moves on. Protesters retreat, their voices fading into memory. Authorities document, record, and close books, yet the echoes of the day linger, carried by wind and stone. Within the prison, guards shuffle through corridors, boots damp, rifles lowered. Every corridor, every key, every door feels heavier now, saturated with the presence of those who walked here and the crimes that led them. The names of the Landsberg Seven hang in memory, tethered to numbers too vast to grasp, tens of thousands shot, gassed, or otherwise extinguished. Paul Blobel, Otto Ohlendorf, Oswald Pohl, Vera Braun, Eric N.N., Hans Schmidt, George Shalomar. Each death here is a fragment of justice, yet justice cannot undo what was done. The courtyard absorbs it all, the rain, the ropes, the coffins, the shadows. History folds into itself, leaving behind an uneasy balance of closure and haunting. Future generations may read the names, see the dates, study the trials, but the air itself will always remember. And in that memory, there is a lesson without words. Accountability carries weight, history demands confrontation, and some chapters leave scars that cannot be healed. The world has witnessed, the mist has absorbed, and the gallows now wait quietly for another story to unfold. The courtyard lies in quiet, drenched in mist and rain, the ropes swaying gently in the cold wind. 7 coffins rest in line, a final punctuation on a chapter of unimaginable horrors. Yet beyond these walls, beyond the stones slick with memory, more stories wait, sealed orders, hidden archives, testimonies never fully heard. Some doors remain closed. Some evidence remains buried. Somewhere, in a drawer, in a photograph, in a faded report, the next truth waits, ready to challenge the world's understanding of justice and atrocity. The air still vibrates with the echoes of judgment, but curiosity lingers, pressing at the edges of every mind. Step closer. Explore deeper. Witness what history tried to hide. Subscribe, and let the shadows of the past illuminate the truths we cannot ignore. Share what you learn, because memory must live beyond these walls. The mist will fade, but the weight of what occurred will never release its hold. And as the rain falls softly over Landsberg, as the gallows remain empty yet whispering, one thought persists. Even in silence, history is alive, waiting for those willing to see what lies beneath.